Welcome to the REI Foundation Podcast, where we cover all the steps and strategies to make your real estate dreams a reality. Now your hosts, Jason and Peely.
Hi, everybody, and welcome again to the REI Foundation Podcast with Jason and Peely. Today, we have the illustrious Thomas DeMoss joining us. Hi, Thomas.
Hey, you guys. How you doing?
Very good.
Doing great. Welcome, Thomas. Thomas is in Chattanooga, Tennessee. He is a real estate investor and agent with Keller Williams there, and has a lot of activity going on today. And we wanted to jump right on and get a little feedback and tell us how you got started in real estate.
Well, I'm going to tell you basically the template real estate investor story that we read Rich Dad Poor Dad and started with buy and hold in properties. But I think it goes back, I get a little bit more detail. So I was raised, my father, one of the things that he kind of instilled in me was an investment mentality. He taught me investing early on stocks and obviously owning tangible assets. He was a gold guy. So physical assets were what he always really, really preached to us. So I think I had that instilled as an investment mentality at an early age. Obviously, there are basic principles that all investors employ that I think we utilize to gain success. And one of the old adages, you've got to save more than you make. You've got to save money. You've got to be able to make money, save money, and invest money. That's what I try to kind of instill in my kids. Because what I found out is you want to let your money work for you. It's kind of it's a Warren Buffett saying, you want your money to work for you while you're sleeping. And when I was in college, we rented houses as students, and obviously we were paying our own rent. So I would see these old guys that all they would do is they'd have several rental houses, and I mean it was just kind of looked like a really cool lifestyle. They would just kick around and kind of piddle, and I was like, that's really interesting. So I think that the catalysts were there at an early age, and then when I read the Rich Dad Poor Dad book, and it was like, okay, I can do this. I can see it, touch it, kind of put my fingers on it when I need to. That's what really got us started in real estate investing. Nice.
There's nothing more tangible than real estate.
I love it.
Around the dirt, it's there.
Absolutely. Yes.
So did you start as an agent or as an investor?
No. So that's a good question. We started as an investor. We read so kind of a little bit of a background on us. We live in Chattanooga, Tennessee. My wife grew up here. We met in Florida, decided to move back here, bought our first house. This was, pre-crash, just kind of that time. So we bought our first house, read Rich Dad Poor Dad. I was driving neighborhoods pretty close to us, found a for sale by owner house, called the guy up. It was just the classic distressed owner. Hey man, just pay me what I owe. And that sounded like a great deal to me. So we did that, bought our first property. It's kind of sat on that for a year or two until we could really grasp how this process works. Really enjoyed it. It kind of worked. We bought a couple properties after that. After the crash, there were a couple foreclosures, and things just kind of built on themselves. I'd say one of the things that really, in hindsight, that propelled us to where we are today was we always treated our rental properties as a separate business. And at the time, my wife and I were both working. So we would take all the proceeds that we would get from that rental business, and that was our seed capital. We never touched it. And that allowed us to really grow at a faster rate. So when I first made my goals as a real estate investor, we were able to achieve them a lot sooner than what I had anticipated. So it was really good. So long story short, we started out with buy and hold. We have been doing that for a little over 10 years now. We may get into this. I'll elaborate a little bit about my story and kind of and I'm a talker. You're going to have to shut me up.
This is what this is for. We want you.
So we had acquired a number of properties. Today we've got 20 single family rental properties and one really nasty looking commercial house that is going to be maybe my office one day. But right now it's the catch-all for the construction materials. But we had gotten to a point to where we had kind of tapped out the MLS market, so to speak. So we started doing a little bit of mailers and things like that. And I got fortunate. We hooked up with a gentleman who had 8 rental properties. Anyway, he was ready to get rid of them. So we worked out a deal to where he would owner finance them. It benefited me and my family. I told him this because we've actually become friends. I bought 7 of the 8 that he's had. And it's really worked out because they're all owner finance. It's been a great relationship. He's somebody who he's in his mid 70s, but he's somebody who I look to and go, that's where I want to be when I'm in my mid 70s. But so that kind of was where the single family rental piece took over. And as we started doing those direct mailing pieces, I would get contacted by home sellers that and I classify people as I want to sell or I need to sell. And these people they wanted to sell, but they didn't have a need. They weren't distressed. They weren't in a financial crisis or anything like that. So at the time, I didn't have a solution for them. And I would call my agent friends and say, hey guys, I've just met this seller. You want to go take the listing and work with him? And this was, the market had kind of picked back up. It was still kind of soft. It was just, I didn't get a good response from the agents. It was like, well, we don't really want to do that. We're cool doing our own thing, kind of in the box, so to speak. And I said, well, I'm a people pleaser and I really do. I like to help people. So I was frustrated that I didn't have a solution for them.
Nice.
So I said, well, if I can't find somebody to help them, then I need to go give them an alternative. So I got my license. I think I've had it for 3 years now, with Keller Williams, which is a great company.
It is.
We've had really good success with that. So what happened was I kind of defined my business. I have 3, I guess, if you will, revenue streams. We have our single family rental business, which is kind of the blue chip stocks, if you will. They're steady, they're consistent, they're always there. That's a piece. And then we have, after doing these letters and giving ourselves another option, our retail or realtor channel that we utilize. And then I'll get to our rehabbing business that we integrated into that too. But it was just really, I wanted to provide solutions for people. I was, like I said, I was frustrated not to be able to help people. So that conversation, a lot of the times it went to, I would really try to feel what their needs were. And if we were a good fit from an investor side, then obviously we would go that route, but always tell people what their options are. Mm-hmm. Obviously as an agent, there's just different things. We try to go above board and be, I guess, more honest and open with people so that they can make the decisions for themselves. So that's where we at. So that part of my business, the Keller Williams side, really took off. My first year, we listed and helped buy about 20 houses.
Nice.
It's been the second year, 20 houses. And then this year, we'll probably do a little bit more than that. But that piece has grown, and I've been able to bring on another partner. We're so new to this, I've not really figured out what to call him. He was a buyer's agent because I didn't have time to work with buyers, but now he's more of a partner, and he employs the same mentality that I do. He has a great, ethical foundation. It's really about helping people. And that's kind of where we are on that realtor Keller Williams side of our business.
Well, I love your mindset. Sorry if I'm interrupting.
No, you're
fine. I love your mindset. I love your helpful mindset. Mm-hmm. That's so Keller Williams, and that's so. Yeah. I find like a lot of the investors that we talk to have this mindset of helping the seller out. That's the number one goal. You want to help out the seller. So since we're sort of going that way, can you go over sort of a typical conversation with a seller?
And so just to kind of round out or fill out where we are in our business today, and you guys may know, so Wally Reese, who's a member of the 7-Figure Flipping with me, we partnered up. It's been over 2 years ago. I'm terrible with timelines, Jason. My wife remembers everything. That's why, we partnered up 2 years ago because once again, there was that piece that I was missing that he brought to the table. Wally's the same. He is extremely empathetic and very grounded. He can talk to people, very relatable. So you asked me how those conversations go. What we try to do is let's say today, if a seller were to contact us, is our first question is not really about the house, but tell me about your situation. Where are you guys at? What's the issues? Because we really want to know where they're at. Now, we tell people up front, we're a for-profit business. When we're rehabbing houses or we're seeking to buy houses, we tell people we cannot pay you market price. People are okay with that. We're very candid with it. But it's really just about understanding the need of the client and how can we satisfy that. The name of our business that Wally and I started is Chattanooga Property Solutions. And we were strategic with that name because that's what we want to communicate to people that contact us is we are going to work diligently to find a solution for your housing problem or issue that it may be. So specifically, how do we address that with home sellers? It really goes back to understanding what their needs are. Okay. We've experienced, probably just like you guys, everybody's different. And it's hard for me and it's hard for other people to wrap your mind around. Well, money's not always the primary motivation for some people. It could be we've dealt with the death of a loved one and just the hurt that they go to when they go to that house. They just don't want to feel that anymore. They want that burden gone, and it doesn't matter. So we try to, eliminate that burden as gently as we can. There are other issues to where it's a divorce situation. It could run run the gamut, so to speak. But it's really just understanding the client, what their needs are, and educating them on our process and how we work. We do communicate to our folks that we are local. We're going to see them. We bought a house from a gentleman the other day, and we were at the closing table. He gave us an incredible testimonial. And as we were talking, he lives up the street from me. So we're going to see each other out in public probably. And I want him to be able to go, that guy treated me fairly. And it was a wonderful, wonderful relationship. And that's how we strive to do business.
Nice.
Love it. That's great.
Such great information right there.
So let's go back to your partnership with Wally. What stood out to you that was it that you were looking for a partner, or you just saw that Wally was working a certain way and you crossed paths and just joined forces and it just came to that? What came first? Because a lot of people think they need a partner. They don't really know if the partner's going to help them or if it's really them not taking full advantage of their own opportunity.
Sure. So Wally and I had known each other for over 10 years. We met at church. We had a friendship. He actually helped me at one time he was a licensed agent. So he helped me buy a couple of my rental properties. And then I actually bought a property from him. He was rehabbing some houses before that we bought a property. So we had a long relationship. We had worked together, and I always knew Wally's character. I knew kind of what he stood for. He kind of had those qualities that I knew I needed. It's not that I lacked them, but I needed to multiply them in order to grow to our business to where he wanted to be. And it was, quite frankly, a recognition of the shift in our market from the downturn to where Chattanooga as a city is really thriving and flourishing. We've got a lot of new people moving in. So the economy had shifted. And obviously, as an entrepreneur, you want to see what you can do to capitalize off of that and help it. So he had a background in rehabs. I had rehabbed houses up until 3 years ago. I never sold anything. I mean, it was I loved it. I didn't want to get rid of it. So that was a process kind of working through, okay, how do we acquire these properties? How do we rehab them effectively and efficiently, and then selling them? So it was, I never, I do hear people talk about struggling with partnerships and things. We've really never had that. We're pretty open with each other. I think we do recognize our strengths and our weaknesses, and we play off that. And I think the one of the main things that I would encourage people, if you're looking for a partner, is you've got to be completely transparent and be open to criticism, because you're going to screw things up. I've screwed things up. Wally screwed things up. It's going to happen. But I think we're both looking at it. We're mutually benefiting each other, and we're working towards a common goal. And it's worked out really, really well.
Thank you for that. And let's touch a little bit on that. What is a struggle you can think of that you've had in your business, and how you've learned from it, or how you learned from it?
So Wally's going to kick me for this.
That's what we like.
Yeah, but I know. But no, there are times where I have negotiated a deal and gotten emotional about it, and probably left money on the table. And he's let me know about that, and I recognized it. It was part lack of preparation on my part, and the other, he's had a little bit of a screw up to where we had a deal with a seller. We both felt really awkward about it. We thought we would take the steps to prevent anything from going south, but there was a detail on a contract that he failed to put, that it was a costly error, and he beat himself up over it. And I understand. And I told him, look, let's put checks in place to make sure that doesn't happen again, and let's move forward. And I think,
know what that error was, so our listeners can.
Yes. So when you fill out a contract, make sure that you fill out the right property address and the legal description.
It's a great point, but super simple. But super simple to mess up.
Yeah.
Super easy to look over, and super easy to just say, "Yep."
Absolutely. When you get busy, when you get busy and you're kind of spinning all the plates yourself, things happen, and it's just one of those growing pains that we've had to overcome. But we do. I mean, we have been extremely blessed this year. I am just overjoyed with the success that we have had this year, and we're really ramping up towards a good 2018 by having projects in the. Yeah, it's so it's been really good. So the way that we have, I guess, separated our roles and responsibilities in our partnership, and this is one of the things that we have really strived to do, is we don't want to overlap each other and who's responsible for what, and that's been hard because both he and I were solopreneurs doing their own thing, and now we've come together. But we've really been, I think, effective in defining what our roles are and trying to operate within those defined roles, and not coming out of those unless we need to, or there's a conversation about, hey, should I do this, or I don't want to impose on what I trust him to do, because I do trust him implicitly. So explaining what those roles are. So Wally's role in our company now, he's pretty much the meat and I'm the bread of the sandwich. So Wally will talk to the sellers. His part is acquisitions, and then getting kind of the process started. And then I guess the bread part that I would be is I handle the marketing. So I'm trying to drive the leads in, get the phone calls. Wally will take that, work it from essentially contract to close. He's project manager on our rehabs. He does work in coordination with our general contractor. And then on the back end, when we get ready to list, and I take it over from that point, list it as an agent and work that point from contract to close. So we do have those defined roles, and that's where, and we do, once again, going back to recognize those strengths. Mm-hmm. The construction part is kind of, that's what Wally, I think he would say he enjoys that. It's not that I don't enjoy it, but it's that we can't do everything.
Yes.
And I'm stronger in those other aspects as opposed to, to letting somebody else do that. So that's how we have kind of separated and defined our roles, and it's worked good. And we're still defining those, and those roles are evolving. Even as we speak, we've had a team meeting yesterday. We brought in an admin to really help us kind of get some of that back end work off of us, so we could operate at a higher level on the business, not in the business.
Yes.
That's great. So what's your main platform for marketing?
It's pay-per-click.
Pay-per-click. Amazing.
It's PPC stuff. We have mailed before, but we mail very strategically. So we have most of our stuff. I think we have a pretty good online presence. But that's what we're exploiting the most. We have dabbled with radio, and that was a bust. I don't think it was an experience. We did.
Would you do it again? And if you did, what would your message?
I would do a different format. So the radio station was a conservative talk show radio station, which was fine. So we did an hour that they would give us advertising space, and then we would have an hour show, which that was fun. It was an experience. So we would have guests on, and Wally and I would talk about our business. So as a growth experience, I would say it was fun, but as a return on investment, it was not so good. So radio is still kind of iffy. We did a TV spot a couple weeks ago, just kind of trying it. We're trying out multiple media channels. And one of the things that we kind of our stick is we are local, and we want people to see us. That's really kind of our brand is we're local. We're here to help. You're going to run into us. Hey, we're your neighbors. So it's been really neat. And, so we got a lot of positive feedback off the television show, the television segment that we did. And it just gave us another platform to communicate our message out to people who may need our services.
Great.
That's great.
Great. Can you tell us a little bit more about PPC since it's working so well for you? Sort of explain PPC to a new investor.
Okay. I will do my best because I would say if you're not strong in this, then find somebody good to outsource it to. So
yes.
Danny Johnson, who owns Lead Propeller, I joked with him up in Michigan that I felt like I was his first or second customer because I had been a Lead Propeller customer for a while. That I set up my website years ago before I even knew what I was doing. So we have used Danny's and Lead Propeller's services for a number of years, and we finally started getting. I mean, this is all relatively new to me within maybe a year or two, but it was one of those things you've got to kind of. To me, I need to know how it works. I don't need to know details. So we recognize that the way to reach more people was to do the PPC route. So we have utilized the Lead Propeller services. But so PPC in a nutshell is when people Google your information, our website is ibuychattanoogahouses.com. Sellers are Googling different keywords. Well, you want your site to rank, first or second at the very top of the page. And Google PPC gives you that ability to be first or second because you're paying Google for them to place you there. So it is paid for advertising. But we have found that those leads are far better. And I know Danny will tell you the same thing. Because folks are at that point, they are searching for you. It's not the bulk mailing where you're kind of, I call it the carpet bomb approach, where you're just mailing a whole city and taking a lot of phone calls. The folks that contact us, what we have found is they are at that point in which they sometimes desperately need your help. And that's, that's where we kind of step in and kind of walk them through the process and educate. But from a business perspective, those leads, we've seen them to be more profitable. They're more solid leads. So So we can work with those a little bit better. And at this point, that's the channel that we are trying to master and exploit, if you will, until it's just kind of, that's our main one. And then we kind of stick our toes in some other things to see if they may work. But that's what we're utilizing most right now.
Yeah, that's sort of what Jason and I do. But we do direct mail as our main. And then we're kind of dipping our toes into different things.
We're going to get there.
Yes.
We're going to get there.
Just like us with PPC.
So I'll go back. So we were having a discussion because Peely, I was hell-bent on stopping a marketing channel, and she is persistent on wanting to keep it going. When do you take your toe out of the water? How long do you do your radio show? Or how long do you give it until you're saying, you know what, I'm going to...
Yeah. So we gave the radio 6 months, and it was kind of ironic. The day that we decided to pull the plug on it, we got a phone call. And I think and I was tempted, but we looked at the spend versus the what we were getting, and we just felt like that money was better allocated towards other resources.
Yeah.
There's only so many.
I'm winning in this conversation.
Yeah. Okay.
Right, I appreciate this. I'll pay you. I'll send your check is in the mail.
Oh man. Well, if you there are only so many marketing channels in which you can utilize, and I know we've talked about the Facebook marketing. We do Facebook market. I'm not sold on that yet. I think there's a channel in which you can utilize to reach people, but to me, it needs to be in combination with something else. And we utilize our PPC, our website, or Facebook to complement our website and PPC stuff. I think it gives us more visibility and credibility, and that's kind of what we're trying to build. And I would say, if you're like with us, we recognize what our main channel is, so we want to make it as good as it can get. And one of the things is we're very, I guess, disciplined on getting testimonials. We want those testimonials to be on our website, because I can tell you how great I am, but it sure means a lot coming from a client. And that has been interesting, hearing the feedback from clients. I mentioned the gentleman that we bought the house from yesterday. I don't remember what day it is, but this week. And he, when we said, "Sir, we would love to get a testimonial video from you," he said, "I figured you'd be asking me that because I watched those testimonial videos on your site, and I'll be glad to give one." Nice. So it kind of feeds on itself. Yeah. But I would say that's kind of maximize that channel. If it's working for you, I guess just try to squeeze all the blood out of the turnip that you can, and then maybe stick your toe in there and see what works. But you asked specifically, when do we pull the plug? That's a hard question to answer. I'd say probably 6 months to me, and it depends on what you're spending. I think there's a lot of variables that go into that. But with our TV, I mean, it costs us $300 to do a spot on television, and we got 4 phone calls from that spot. So to me, I'm thinking, well, that's an instant variable that we can measure to go, people are watching this, they're calling us. So, that's a good thing. So we're going to probably stick another toe into that water and see how that does.
Great.
But I know there's debates on non-branding or branding your business. And I guess I'm in the camp of branding, because what we've tried to build is an ecosystem, if you will, that if people need to find us, they can find us, and they can go to different channels to do that. But yet those channels are going to complement what we're doing, the services that we provide, and give a history of people that we have helped, and give a chronicle of the projects that we've done. So it establishes a legitimacy to what we are doing, that we do buy houses, that we do help people. So
branding versus non-branding, you're talking whether if I'm just pitching myself as Thomas, or if I'm just
exactly
as Chattanooga Property Solutions.
Absolutely.
Got it. Understood.
Yeah. My goal is to, if somebody is in their situation to where they need to sell a house, I want them to call us and let us help them find a solution. The frustrating thing is when you can't find it. And we deal with that. We deal with that more than I would like. But at least at the end of the day, the people know that we're really trying, that it does bother us, that we can't provide a solution. And there may present one later down the road, but at that point, it's building an effective relationship to where if time and circumstance change in their life, they know they can reach back out to us and give us a call, and we can try to do.
This is such awesome information. Thank you so much, Thomas. From my lesson learned right here is just, if it's not working, do your best, but if it's not working, then pull the plug and figure out your next steps, because you don't do well to waste money on a marketing scheme that doesn't work.
Yeah, the only thing
it may work in another market.
It may work.
It might not work in ours.
I would say, and it really goes back to knowing your market. I mean, Chattanooga is a small market, and it's a very local. I mean, we knew that when we moved here. Definitely know your market, know your clients. There are certain demographics and certain kind of macro issues which will influence how you can best reach people. And with us, we know Chattanooga is it is somewhat of a larger town. We're growing, but it is a small town community where you can see people downtown. You're just going to run into people, and people talk. And you look on Facebook, and I'm surprised at the mutual friends that everybody has. And I mean, it's almost like 6 degrees of separation, or it's just crazy. So be aware of your market and how you can effectively communicate your message to your clients.
It's a great bit of information right there. A great bit of advice. Effectively communicate with your clients.
I love it. And I think that that's a good transition into what is your big why for all of this?
So I may surprise you, but that's the toughest question that I have to answer. My why has evolved. Obviously, I think the generic answer is my family. Maybe you hear financial freedom. You hear, I do it for my family. I think those are true. What I would challenge other investors is to really dig deep into that financial freedom thing. I've never been that I embraced that early on, but I don't know that I can define that, or I'm not comfortable with that, because that means different things to different people. My why is, one of the whys is, from my faith background, I want to be a good steward of what God has blessed me with. We have, like I mentioned, we have 3 adopted children. We have, adoption is costly. We have been blessed in the things that we've been able to do to do things like that. So I would say that yes, my why is, my family is included in that why, obviously, but also the biggest thing is to be a good steward of what God's given me and let that translate through what I do. So I would challenge other new investors to really dig into that. Don't just grab the financial freedom thing and say, this is what I want, because I don't say this bragging, but I could be financially free today. I mean, I could stop doing what I'm doing. There are certain things, but I don't think that translates into being a good steward of what I have been given to utilize. So my why changes. There's a big why, but specifically it changes on the different things. And part of it is I just really love what I do. I do. You can't shut it off. So it's not about money. I mean, that's a great benefit of what we do. If we're successful, we're going to profit from it. But it's not about the money. It's really, I'm passionate about helping people, being able to serve others, building a business. And this is the thing too, is the point to where we're at, we're actually bringing on employees, and we see that our business is influencing other families. We're making commitments to our general contractor who's obviously using what we're paying him to feed his family. So it's really neat to see how that grows. It's stressful knowing you've got that responsibility on you, but
it feels good too.
It feels good. Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely.
And I have to tell you this, Thomas, you are the epitome of stewardship. Everything you've told us today,
it's been great.
Just from being helpful. Like that, I mean, that seems to be like your calling. Yeah.
It's so I've got my bad side too.
So, you're not completely good?
No. My wife will tell you that.
We'll have her on next week.
Absolutely. But it's just, I would do that. I get a lot of phone calls from young investors, people that want to get into this business. And I do ask them, why do you want to get into this business? And you hear, I want to be financially free. I push back on that a lot because that's not really a why. It's you can be debt free and live in a shack. I mean, there's so many different ways that you can be free. And I think a lot of entrepreneurs do wrestle with that. But I can honestly say that it's just so much fun. We're passionate about what we do. It's great. I mean,
that right there.
Yeah.
That's
I mean, it really is. Yeah, absolutely. I get to do what I love. I mean, my wife tells me to shut it off. I'm like, well, I'm not really working because it's not like I don't like doing this. So it's just fun.
Well, this is a great lead into, we like to always find some actual steps. And our main question would be, if you did have one of those new investors call you, what is an actual step they can take today to get started with real estate?
It's a tough question. And if we're honest, I would say that people really need to, they're going to probably follow the same path that I did. They're going to be exposed to Rich Dad, Poor Dad, all the information. And we live in an information overload world. So I would really wrestle, and I push back on this. I have investors that call me. I would say practical steps are, first of all, push further past the financial freedom reason. Really understand what this business involves. Understand that it takes work and that nothing is accomplished without hard work and drive and determination. And I tell this to a lot of my clients. You have to take ownership in what you're doing. You have to outwork everybody else. And you can't rely on somebody else to do that for you. When I got started, I would do basic things. When we started buying rental properties, I would go view other rental properties to see what my competition was like. And I realized early on that it was not real competition because nobody fixed up their houses. They were all dirty. And I thought, well, this is not really hard. I can tweak this, add this, give my residents a little bit more benefit than the next guy, raise my rent $25 more, and I don't have the turnover that they do. So that's going back to treating your business like a business. It's not a hobby. It may be fun, you may enjoy it, but it is a business, and you have to treat it like that. So be involved in it. It's just like I mentioned the PPC. So I don't want to be in the weeds of PPC, but I do want to know the overarching themes and the processes. So if something goes awry, we can tweak it if we need to. So those are some things. There are tons of tools out there to get educated. And I would say, don't worry about making a mistake. You're going to learn from those mistakes. It's just, like I mentioned, the first house we bought, I thought was a great deal. We bought it for $77,000, and it's probably wasn't worth $50,000. But we grew through that. We didn't know what we didn't know. We bought a house and we learned how to manage tenants. We learned the process. A very basic thing that I learned early on as I started to manage our rental properties was I quit putting my phone number on the sign because I would get these calls asking bedrooms and bathrooms, what's the rent? I'm thinking, all I need to do is put a sign on the door with all of that information. And therefore, I don't have to answer these questions. And if they don't want to get out of the car to go read, they're probably not going to be a good tenant of mine. So there's just little things like that I think you can employ into your business, but take a risk.
Nice.
It's not going to, it's not going to kill you.
Yeah.
Don't go buy a multi-million-dollar apartment complex. But calculated risk.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Before we let you go, we have a couple more questions that we'd like to ask everybody. One being is, what are words you live by?
What are words? Okay, so it's on my office. I'll read it. It is 1 Corinthians 10:31. It says, whatever you do, do it all for the glory of God. Nice. So I have that in my office because that goes back to that overarching theme of I want to be a good steward of what we've been given. So that is where I strive to do. Don't do it well every day, but I would say start there. That's probably where I would sum it. Everything flows out from that.
Fantastic. Great words.
Thank you. And
best way to find you if our listeners want to talk to you, know your business, or even get on your buyer's list.
Sure. So we've got, once again, we're in a social media crazy world. So we've got multiple different platforms. The best way to contact me directly is our email address. It's thomas@ibuychattanooga.com. We're on Facebook. Personally, I have a Facebook page. We have a Chattanooga Property Solutions Facebook page that people can connect with us. They can see kind of what we're doing, projects that we've got going on right now, follow us. Reach out to me that way.
It's incredible.
Thank you so very much.
This has been a lot of fun. Thank you, Thomas.
Yeah, absolutely. Look forward to seeing you guys in Pensacola.
Yes,
look forward to it.
Well, this is the REI Foundation podcast with Jason and Peely. Thank you so very much again to Thomas DeMoss. And thank you all for listening to our show. Thank you.
All right. See you guys.
Bye now.
We appreciate each of you listening to our show. And if you like what you hear, please go to iTunes and leave us a 5-star rated review. 5 stars. And give us some questions on Facebook. We'd love to have your questions answered by our guests on some of our next show. You can find us on Facebook at the REI Foundation Podcast with Jason and Peely. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thanks for tuning into the REI Foundation Podcast. Check back next time for more awesome tips and strategies to launch your new you in real estate.